Well, welcome to Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross. I am your host and resource for self-care, connections, and collaborations. Today, we are featuring our special guest, Dr. Sherry Bainbridge. Overcoming multiple traumas, Sherry has transformed herself into a 3-time author, holistic health doctor, hypnotherapist, intuitive podcaster, Reiki master, and speaker. So let's welcome Dr. Sherry Bainbridge, so we can delve into the mind and body connection contributes to your health and methods to supercharge your hope in daily life and energetic and physical nutrition. Dr. Sherry, thank you. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much.
Hey, so I know you've suffered many traumas. So can you share your personal journey from trauma survivor to holistic health advocate for us?
Well, like most people, and for me especially, I chose a life, and I believe the majority of us do choose the life that we are living. And I happen to choose a rather challenging life, from going through severe childhood traumas and abuse and so forth, to having 2 car accidents where 2 people totaled my car with me in it, a work accident, and an individual that left me with injuries from head to toe. In fact, according to the spinal doctor, my life is supposed to be 350 pounds on the couch. And like most people out there, realizing that American medicine and Western approaches, and I love the idea of symptom relief. That's wonderful when you need that. But the problem is the majority of us really want to heal. And my whole life has been about healing my own thinking, healing my own self, as well as aiding other people in the things that I learn. And this led to my getting a master's and PhD in holistic health, studied in Eastern, tribal, and Western healing and spiritual philosophies around the world. I also got educated on the American side, getting a bachelor's in business and technical writing and so forth, which ultimately my life has led me to doing writings and coming out with the books that I've come out with. I love the work that I do. I love the skills that I have. And I love being able to provide people with a program for themselves so that they have an outline as to what they need to do in order to help themselves. And oftentimes my clients walk away with a 2-year plan in place. They know exactly how to help themselves and get to where they're going, where they're wanting to get, which is a mental and physical level of health. We are 90% energy. And in that form of energy, we have a ton of information we can access, and we have the ability to heal and help our physical bodies depending on the path that you've chosen for yourself. Some things you're not going to be able to. It's part of your path. And sometimes we face difficult things like the toxins that have become so exorbitant in this world that it has such an effect and stress on our body. And when you look at 90% of all illness is stress related, that's huge. And I really hope to try and help ease people's stress so that they better understand who they are, the power they have within themselves, and a different way to look at the world that we're living in. And I know you too have been through a lot of trauma and so forth.
I think a lot of people have, and very different, traumas and stuff. But I want to say that you mentioned a really good thing. You provide people with a 2-year plan, because a lot of times we want that fix, and it's like we want to just be better like now, but it took us years to get there. So it takes time to fix things.
It
so
does
I know
time. And we're also in this world taught to have that quick fix. And yeah, it would be great to pop a pill and go, boom, I've solved my problem. But that's not how life works. It can ease the stress. That's great. But you're not solving the thinking behind what is continuing that issue to keep showing up and showing up.
Yeah, I call them Band-Aids because it's really all you're doing is throwing a Band-Aid on it. But
exactly.
I know you're an intuitive. So how does your intuitive ability aid you in guiding individuals towards their personal growth?
My intuitive side caused me to come into this life thinking differently than most people do. For whatever reason, I kept that connection with our divine source, great spirit, whatever you want to call it, and am able to define those shifts of energy that I feel and see and hear in order to help other people. Because sometimes you have to have that insight to get to the core of the issue that the person might be not able to see. One of the things about the therapy that our country uses, and I think it's a great program for aiding people in defining their emotions and having a process they can then tweak in order to understand what that emotion is saying. The problem with that is that in order to facilitate someone into thinking differently, they have to have been exposed and seen or heard of how to think differently. If you've not, then facilitating someone, helping them figure that out is nearly impossible because they've never seen it or heard it before. And that's where the intuitive really comes in, because there are times, I guess you could call it, I nail my clients right against the wall. Let's not waste time. Let's get right to the point. Now let's discuss why this isn't working for you and how we can make it do just that.
Yeah, I think a lot of us probably have those intuitive abilities, or the messages, we just don't always listen to them.
Everybody does, but by the time you're 4 years old, you've been taught that that's evil. That's not normal, that you're not supposed to trust that. In other words, you're being told to trust somebody to tell you what to believe, how to believe, if to believe, or to believe. And that isn't working for the majority of people. And getting reconnected to those many forms of divine communication is how a person really grows and develops and learns and expands their thinking at a level that they can now understand our multi-existent, multi-layered world that we are living in, which can be a little complicated because it is proven to be a computer simulation, and it's still hard for people to get that through their heads. And this more realistic way of looking at the world puts the control in your life more back into your lap rather than letting other people do that. So that's one of the things I want to do is, and I do, help people get reconnected to that spiritual guidance and knowledge they have available and that science has proven exist.
So is that what inspired you to start Holistic Collaboration? And what impact do you hope that has on on the people that are using that or visiting your website and everything?
I love holistic collaboration. This is part of my life path. And each step of this business has been nothing more than miraculous. This company was meant to be mine. The name was meant to be mine. The logo was an extraterrestrial logo that was provided to me, and I didn't even know what it meant for another year to 2 years when it was finally revealed to me. See, being so psychic, I live in a little bit different world than everybody else does, and that'll be the 2027 book.
That would be interesting too. I've seen stuff about that too. Intuitives. It's hard sometimes to wrap your head around, but it's got to be a fascinating world to be in.
It's
Be able to do
very
that.
different and it's odd, but it's so normal to me that at one point when I was having so much that I was seeing and learning, that I actually reached a point that I asked not to see for a while. And that's exactly what happened. I got a break from seeing for a while, but it was so abnormal for me that it's just not part of who I am. And it's something that I've covered up. I've tried to be heavy into the business world. I'm not meant to do my business the normal earthly way. I'm meant to do it exactly how I'm doing it. And it is half in the spiritual side and half in the physical side.
I think that's awesome because that's truly doing what you love and what you're connected to. And I'm
Exactly.
so happy you found that. We talk about intuition and intuitive. How can your audience learn to use their own intuition? We said everybody has it, but there's a way they can learn to use it for their own personal development. How would they do that?
Well, let me give you one example because there's so many divine communications that we have access to. When you have a negative emotion arise, 99.5% of the time, it has nothing to do with anybody else, but it is a heads up to you that you might want to take a look at your thinking and change your thinking because that negative emotion is rising because of how you're thinking. And through some of the traumas and the extreme life experiences I have been in, I have learned to change my thinking on a dime. Years ago, I was diagnosed with a marker that was way too high. It's called a Jack marker. This marker is directly related to polycythemia vera, a rare bone marrow cancer. No one in the medical community asked me how I lowered that marker, and not a single one so far has found anyone in the world that has not only been able to lower it, but keep it lower. And what I did was I changed my thinking, which lowered the stress in my life and lowered the marker. Nothing else I did. That was the only thing I did. Now that caused extreme issues in my life because I was in the middle of a disability case, and because they refused to go forward, they kept asking for information. I had 42 different doctors, and every 6 months they're asking information of the same thing, same thing, same thing. And because of my thinking at that time, my body is reliving this experience over and over again. And that was stressing my body out so much that my immune system was starting to fail me in how it wards off some of these diseases. And that happened to be one of them. And if I can bring this to others to help others lessen the damage in their life and look at life in such a way that they are learning from all these multitude of divine communications that are giving guidance in how to pay attention to what's going on around you. Things show up and we get hints and we get help. You ever sit in front of a TV and you get that message right then and there that you needed, and it was so perfect at that moment? That whole thing was arranged by you to get that message for your guidance. And only if you're paying attention and thinking in that way does it become your guru.
That is awesome. So you have one of your newer books that just came out. I happen to have right here. I'm in the process of reading, but it's Reboot, Reclaim, and Refocus Nutrition. And that talks about a real conversation. Kind of what we're leading up to is about the energetic and physical nutrition. So in your opinion, how does that role play in overall well-being, and how can you start improving their health and their nutritional habits?
Well, the first thing is you have to change your thinking. Our brain and our body are designed, if you want to call it an avatar, it's part of the computerized. See, our source, our creator, didn't go through eons of time without discovering technology. Of course, technology was discovered far beyond our brain to understand. So too is the universe, and so too is creation. So part of our job here is to evolve this brain so it can handle it in this computer simulation that we are living in. When we get reconnected to these parts of ourselves, our body will tell us exactly what it needs and wants. Our brain will tell us what it needs and wants. It's going to argue with you when you're wrong, but it's still going to support you in how you're choosing to think. And we can get stuck in these thinking because our brain wires itself in order to support what we are desiring. And that makes things a little more difficult if we don't understand that and notice that. When we start rewiring that thinking and rewiring and igniting the healthier parts of our brain so that we can think in a healthier way, change happens. And we can change ourselves literally from the DNA on. And this is how we heal ourselves and help our physical body, because not even a cell can develop without a thought first. So the thinking must be healed, and you must have a different way of approaching this life, because what we've been taught and herded into simply isn't working for the majority of people. The mega corporations and those that rule and have the financial profits from all of this, absolutely. But it's not us. And it's our job to rise above that, get reconnected to this so that we can have life just a little bit easier in how we're dealing with it, approaching it, and the results of that.
Yeah, and I'd have to say I've been called out on that before. So I had been reading your book, and it was funny because, like, even in the first chapter, it's one of the things you start talking about is the thinking and thinking in the right way. Because I had met another guest that'll be on. She's a nutritionist, and we were talking about clean eating and working on that. And I was doing great because I was like, this is like visiting a new country, learning new recipes, new things to do. But then you go out to a restaurant, and then it's like, and I'm like sitting there. I can't order that.
Exactly.
I used to be able to order that. I can't order that anymore. She goes, stinking thinking. You need to say, God, well, look what they're putting in their body instead of what you can't have. So it's just kind of, changing around what you think.
Exactly. And I get it. Restaurants and so forth, they need to make money. The food industry needs to make money. And that's fine. There's no reason to be upset or angry about it or anything like that, but to rise above it. Also, we have taste buds, and in our physical form, we can enjoy our taste buds. And I want people to be able to do that. But it's when we get hooked into the addictions that are a part of what is labeled as food. And much of our food doesn't have any nutritional value at all. And our body requires not only nutrition physically, but energetically. Everything is 90% energy. And when we approach our food from gratefulness and with a reverence, and we participate in its when we're making something, it's a part of love with our food. And for all of our evolution, food is part of what supports us, and it deserves the same respect. When we do that, the energy lines up in healthy geometric patterns. And this has been proven by science around the world, not just one or two studies, but around the world. So when we align these, it becomes more energetic nutrition for our bodies. And in the book, you'll notice too, I talk about how there's a certain level of energy that comes from fresh food, lightly cooked food, other types of food like dehydrated food. And when you get to canned food and more processed food, there's zero energetic nutrition at all. And honestly, for the most part, I will choose some of the poisons to put into my mouth, but only on rare occasions, because it is my choice what I put in there. And for the most part, I want my body to have the nutritional needs that it needs, both energetic and physically, because I want to feel vital. I want to be sleeping at night. At 65 years old, people look at me and I love the comments that they give. Is it a struggle? Of course, our world makes it difficult, but we can live healthier and younger by taking some of these steps and approaching our body with that type of reverence and respect in taking care of it, so both the mind and the body can really take care of us. Both the mind and body will step up to the emotional and physical plate you feed it every single time.
Yeah, and the more you do it, when you eat something that you really shouldn't, if you listen and you're paying attention, your body will react and tell you that's not cool.
It will. You'll get acid reflux. You'll become very gassy. And honestly, when I move on, I want to talk to our maker about why did we have such gassy bodies. Some of the functions of our bodies are really, really annoying.
That's true. And I know we're going to go more into like the whole, the energetic and stuff you have, and we're going to have to take a break from our sponsors here real quick. But you have a podcast that's getting ready to come out, the Looking Veil podcast. And so I know you have lots to share about that. So we're going to dive into that new podcast coming out, or that's come out, and learn more about what your listeners can expect right after these messages.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bobby Aldridge with Bainbridge. There are so many programs out there that measure your swing speed, sets, reps, your BMI, your body fat. But the one thing they're not measuring that's so essential is mobility. Mobility is the key. If you're measuring your mobility, your performance will get better and you will reduce your pain. I created Bainbridge to make it easy for people to repeat the exercises so they could do it properly at home on their own. It's simple, it's easy to do, and from a senior to a pro athlete.
Relief for PTSD, anxiety, pain, insomnia, and many other ailments. Introducing Vibe, the world's only pocket PEMF device. You place in your pocket while cooking, cleaning, relaxing, watching TV, sitting at your computer, reading, or walking. Self-contained standalone device. No drugs. No other phone or Bluetooth connections required. No monthly subscription fees. No apps to download. No Bozone. The future of medicine is in the frequencies. Come join the revolution.
Hello, I am Dr. Sherry Bainbridge with Holistic Collaboration. I am a 3-time author, a holistic health doctor, hypnotherapist, intuitive, Reiki master, and speaker. So come join me on my website and check it out. Check out the podcast website, see what's happening and the people involved, because it's a fabulous group of people. Thank you so much.
We're back. So the Looking Veil podcast, I remember you and I talking about that a little bit. That wasn't something that you had planned on doing. So how did all that come about that you added that?
You know, oftentimes in life, the thing you resist the most is the thing that you should be doing. And even though I help my clients and so forth, I too am still on earth learning. And I was so against adding one more thing to do in my business. But then all of a sudden I have this situation, and some people can relate out there. And if you can't, I want to give you hope and encourage you to see that this really does happen. And I've never experienced this before, where alignment is totally a part of this. And this is so divine, and it's so beyond me happening that it is mind-blowing. My co-host Leslie is unbelievable with her knowledge and how she helps other people, and in her psychology history and her intuitive skills, as well as her business history, is unbelievable. And her addition to this, it just sort of came about. Then I had another gentleman named Leland Holgate, who cured himself from being a quadriplegic. And he is one of our resident investigators. We also just came across, who fell into my life again, how this alignment happens. And it just blows my mind, because easy is not what's been normal in my life. The greatest teachers have the harder routes to go, because that's what makes you a better teacher. So Mr. Cable Jones fell into my life, and he is an amazing energy healer who works throughout the United States, a lot in Wyoming and Colorado and Utah, and with some of the top athletes. And he works at the energetic level of the DNA. Both these guys have incredible knowledge of the body, the mind. Leland is doing a double degree in neuropsychology and neurochemistry. It's such an amazing team that wants to combine energy and spirit and science using ancient knowledge and techniques and modern knowledge. And let's put that together to better understand how we can better take care of ourselves so we are energetic and vital to create the life we really want, and how to better understand the world we're in. Because it's not an easy world to understand when you're told what to believe about the world. And believe me, you are being told that. There's a whole different way to look at this and incorporate the assistance that we have to help us better ourselves. And this group, this unique group of personalities and eclectic paths that we have taken, and the traumas, the extreme traumas we have all been through and gotten past these traumas, and what we're doing to help each other be able to take that next step is absolutely mind-blowing. And I can't wait to start learning from these people. I have this insatiable desire to learn and grow. And I wanted to take that to the public and say, hey, learn and grow along with me as we are expanding this knowledge in how to better accept our place in this world, how to live with this world, and how to maneuver it in such a way that we are able to make our lives easier rather than harder.
And I think that's amazing, because there's other people too that I have met and talked to that said basically from, visualizations and meditations and stuff that they did, that they were able to heal stuff in their own body when doctors told them they had X amount of time to live. That was it. This was done. It makes me curious as to how many others might even be out there feeling like they're alone or, chastised for, feeling that, because it's not something that a lot of people understand or even think about. It's not what we were brought up to learn.
And you can be chastised. It was the Rockefeller guy that designed the medical criteria for our country. And why were all the alternatives and the healing approaches left out? Because everything in pharmaceutical uses petroleum. If it's not in the coating, flavorings, bindings, and so forth in the drug itself, it's definitely in the packaging, and very profitable for the petroleum industry. However, as we learn that we are responsible for what we have, the knowledge we have, and the power that we have, we have to rise above that and take that back. Nobody in this country wants to be treated for symptom relief the rest of their life. They want to get better. And you just can't do that by buying into what is based in profits. And that's fine. You got to make a profit. You don't want to lose your livelihood. You don't want your lifestyle to be lessened. But I don't want it done at my expense, at my health's expense, at my life's expense. So that takes me stepping up as a spiritual and physical warrior in order to design my life in such a way that I get to thrive regardless of what's going on around us. And our whole purpose of the podcast is to give clarity in the confusion.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, because, I talk to a lot of different, intuitive psychics or quantum researchers, which, does scalar energy and everything. And it's fascinating what's out there. But as I talk to like each individual, they often kind of feel like they're alone. They're the only one that, understands it. Not other people are understanding. And it's like for me talking to, I'm like, there's several of you out there. I just don't think you've connected yet.
That's the whole purpose of designing this podcast in this way, is to pull together a eventually worldwide community of support and knowledge and information. Now, understand that what we know today, the truth we believe today, may very well not be the truth tomorrow, because truth too evolves, which can make it confusing to people. Some people really believe that if it's the truth, therefore for all time and eternity, this is it. That's not true. There are always many, many truths, and truths will continue to evolve, and we're meant to evolve along with it and not stagnate as we have. Laura, when I was 2 years old, I remember, and I've got memories clear back to learning to crawl. I was standing there looking at my parents, and there's certain things I flag in my brain to remember objectively, exactly like it is right this moment, and not allow my own personality and so forth to get involved. And I'm looking at them going, why the heck did I come here? Nothing changed. The same old prejudices, the same old being against each other based on the stupid stuff, skin, hair, size, location, belief system, culture system. All of this is in place to keep people divided. So let's do something different. Let's stop the division, have a different way of looking. And as we alter and grow the individual into this type of living, because it truly is a lifestyle, then the masses get more involved. And this gives us the energetic component of power that can create change in this world that hasn't happened for thousands of years. It really is time for a change.
Yeah, it is. And I've met so many people. I even teamed up with one of them to do a conscious living, expo and stuff, and to bring speakers like you and other people and stuff like that together to say, hey, we can, I always believe we can do more together. So
Exactly. We can't do anything by ourselves. It's not possible. The chair you sit in, the desk you work at, the phone you hold in your hand, the soap you might use, everything we do involves other people. And your work that you're doing is phenomenal because you're bringing to public the people like myself that are making a change, that are having miracles happen. This is happening throughout the world, people healing themselves. Leland works with Dr. Joe Dispenza in his work that he's done worldwide in aiding people in bettering their health with ancient breath techniques. This information is available, and our controlled information in the United States, and it is very much controlled. You go out on the internet, I want you to look for a natural healing solution for something. Then get out of the internet and come back and look for the same thing, and you won't see it. What will be lined up is the American approach to healing. So we have been in this situation for a really long time. It's time to wake up, to step up, and to show up for ourselves and for each other in creating a world that we really are a part of, and allowed ourselves to be set aside on the sidelines when we really are the power here. We have the masses, so we can create change like no other. And it's really time to make this happen because our world is just becoming more difficult, and our nutrition more difficult with the toxins, and in our thinking and in our physical world. We want to change it and make it better. And when you bring people together and people start seeing all the amazing things going on out there, we can get away from being stuck in so much of the negativity, and it just makes for a much more peaceful and joyful existence.
that it does. And we're the only ones that can do that change. You and I were chatting a little bit before we started, because I know you still, battle different health issues, aches and pains, but you were telling me about a gentleman, one of these gentlemen that you're doing the podcast with, that has done some energetic healing with you, and you have been feeling better than you ever been. Can you share with us kind of what that entailed or what it's like?
Leland Holgate it is part of what led me toward this, because we met in such an odd way, but knew that we really needed to hook up. And his being able to cure his quadriplegic was the step toward my meeting Mr. Cable Jones. And Mr. Cable Jones, he's an energetic, functional sports medicine man. And he took me on kind of as his project. We also felt we had something we needed to do together. And I got to tell you, I snapped this guy up so fast because I could see throughout his soul that he had this knowledge and information and skill that is so innate, natural to him, brought into this life. And he started working on me. And we have spent many weeks now with him helping me from the DNA level. And I have over 35 surgeries to my mouth. My jaw is severely damaged, 4 through 7, and my neck is severely damaged, reconstructive shoulder surgery, I could go up and down my body. And I was reaching a point in time where I was begging our creator, I need help. I can't go forward like this. My life is making this too difficult. And it was devastating me to know I have this purpose and not physically be able to meet it. And then lo and behold, Mr. Cable Jones comes into my life. His knowledge of the physical body and from the DNA level on is mind-blowing. And his help to me has caused me to be able to look this far and this far, which I have not been able to do in a really long time. My pain has drastically decreased. I'm walking with severely damaged meniscuses and not feeling any pain and not hearing any clicking anymore. We have done so much work that my hands are working better. I'm not dropping things as much. They're not getting so crumpled by the end of the day with the work that I'm doing. I am seeing results for myself. And as a holistic doctor, we experiment on ourselves before we experiment on anybody else. And this has proven to me beyond any shadow of any doubt of any kind that this gentleman is a gift in our world. And we need to hear what he has to say and provide him with the foundation to allow his information to grow and develop in this world, because it makes a difference for the people that he works with. And I am not an easy person to please in this area.
I know.
Yeah, we all get that way. There are charlatans and there are frauds and there are liars and scammers and schemers in every industry, and that includes this industry. And we become highly questioning of everybody and everything, and I want to see and know it for myself. So this experience with this man, again, mind-blowing. I would never in my life put together anything like this unless I had the most incredible, remarkable people to work with. My standards are extremely high, and they better know a heck of a lot more than I do. Right? Because that's how we learn, and that's how we're helping other people grow and share, especially as a host of a podcast. So this is completely new, completely different. And my excitement of being able to wake up this morning without a migraine, to be able to move with much greater ease, to now be able to start stretching and exercising again, taking it slow because wisdom has to play a role in absolutely everything. And I have hope back.
And that's a really, really big part. And like you said, they always say, if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You need to get into a different room.
Not sure I want to tell them this, though.
Yeah. But now we're talking about energy. And from what I understand from a lot of them, energy, you don't necessarily have to be there. So are these gentlemen there in Colorado Springs with you, or is it from afar?
It is going to be from afar. Leland actually lives in Florida, and Mr. Holgate lives in another state. His life is quite private. In fact, you will find all our lives are very private. We don't talk about specifics in our life other than what will be helpful in aiding other people. And I'm sure other people can understand that, because the more public you are, the more at risk you are in our lovely, dangerous scammer, hacker type world, which is just one of the saddest things ever. But again, we have to rise above it and just get smarter about it all.
Absolutely. I just wanted to ask because a lot of people get stuck in that bubble thinking that you have to go to somebody and physically see them and do that to get help, when there's a lot of people that can do stuff.
There are no
long
bounds.
distance.
There's no walls to energy. Nothing stops energy. And when we look back at our very beginnings, our very basics is energy. We perceive this physical world. I can't explain it, of course, and our own science can't quite explain how this works, because we too are still evolving and trying to figure out creation. It's just people like myself are trying to figure it out from a less damaging and I would like to say more responsible way. Some of our labs in science are very sloppy and irresponsible and create things that should not be. We see all the pictures out there on the YouTube and so forth of what we would consider creepy creatures and so forth in our world. Well, not only have extraterrestrials played a role in that, but our very own science definitely has, even though they have denied it. America let out the West Nile's virus. Oops, accidental. And we have the suspicion that China's sloppy lab let out the COVID. So many things get let out that we don't know about. And our greatest defense is having that spiritual connection to that knowledge and guidance that will help us avoid some of these things. There's times I'll be around people and I'll know that something's wrong with them and go home, and I'm going to take care of myself extra special for the next day because I know my body's going to be fighting early on. And this is something like the polycythemia vera I talked about. I started developing symptoms before I developed the disease. And this happens often with people. You have that little feeling in the back of your sinuses that you're might about to be coming down with a cold or a flu or something. If you stopped at that very moment, and if you rested right then and there taking care of yourself, you're going to get over it in a couple of days. But we do what? We wait until the symptoms are so extreme. We're now down for 7 to 10 days. It's not necessary. Catch it early. Learn these little tricks, and it makes life so much easier all the way around.
Absolutely. And I know besides your podcast, we might as well talk about that because you're talking about tips, but you also have tips, tricks, I believe, and peeves.
I have Nutrition Strategies, which is a YouTube channel started because of the new book. And that is because I didn't want to write a 1,000-page book. This channel will include things that are often not in the book, a little bit, but a lot of stuff that is absolutely not. Peeves, Tips, and Tricks is a channel at the moment I put on hold because I can only do so much, but I do want to get back to it when the podcast and the business grows to a point. I can get some additional help with some of the creativeness that happens in my head, because we've all got peeves about this world. I think it's hilarious. I think it would be just so much fun to get back to, and I am going to do that. People, I appreciate my followers that have been very patient with my building stuff. when you have the amount of injuries that I have, and it provides a certain level of physical limitations, and it causes me to be quite a bit slower on things than other people. However, the hope I have with the work I'm doing with Cable Jones is that I'm going to be able to do more and more, which I kind of didn't expect today, waking up in such a quality condition. It's just, it's mind blowing. And anybody that deals with all of this, where you've had to get past PTSD and get past all this stuff, it's incredible when things start going in that direction where you are healing. It also creates a lot of humor, and I love to look at life from a humor point of view, and that's when the peeves, tips, and tricks, I think, will be just a lot of fun when I can get back to it. Too much things. You have all these things that are interesting and exciting to do in this world.
Yeah, but you hit it right on the head there. You're being mindful, and you know that if you took that on, that's too much, you're overloaded, and we're all about being mindful and taking better care of ourselves. So that is a really good example of recognizing you were putting too much on your plate. Something's got to cut. And you were drawn to do the podcast.
You've got to have the self-care. Oh, the podcast thing, I cannot tell you how miraculous all of this is. Again, absolutely adamant. I'm not doing that. Absolutely not doing that. And then
but yet look how much you light up and how excited you are about it. You kind of like glow when you talk about it. So obviously it was something you were meant to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. That is awesome. So are you going to have like different guests on there, or are you just going to be talking about different topics? What can people expect?
We will be doing a variety of things. We will be, Leslie, my co-host, and I will be talking about different topics at different times. We will be having our resident investigators on. They will be ongoing and probably pretty heavy in this first year. And whenever you start out or do something, as we have learned in our advancement in knowledge of working on the energetic level, that you don't have a specific expectation and get attached to that end result. I am open to where this is going to ebb and flow and lead. And that's one of the ways we lessen stress in our life, is understanding, fine, you have a general plan in place, but when you're attached and things don't go as quite expected, or it is wanting to naturally take a turn it's meant to take, we become resistant and we fight it and fight it and fight it. And this new thinking is no. If it needs to take a turn, we're taking a turn, and there is no longer stress involved in that. It's whatever it goes. And our audience is the one that's going to decide a lot of this and how this pans out. So I really want to have people participating, asking their questions and getting involved in the direction of this, because people know better where they need to go than anybody else. They just may not be clearly clued into it.
So I have to ask how you came up with, or what is the meaning for you of the looking veil?
Because my co-host and I can do intuitive work, and I have all the skills in that, as does she, that we can literally look through the veil onto the other side to channel and to answer questions. All of psychic work is channeling. All of it is. But there are times where you want to channel specific individuals. And if this is something our audience wants, we will be doing channeling publicly. Have no problem with that, because the information that it provides is phenomenal. And everybody has these abilities. I don't like that I just said that. So can we scratch this? Everybody has the ability. And just end
you
it
can
where
rephrase. You can rephrase. A lot of people have the abilities. I think they don't necessarily tap into, or maybe the true ability.
The true essence of who we are is spirit. This body is inside of it. So when our spirit gets really connected and we understand the communications that it is providing us, it gives us the guidance to lead us to places such as this podcast that, again, was not in any way, shape, or form going to exist. Surprise!
I know you were writing the book. You were talking about, I think, writing possibly a cookbook or recipes. Then all of a sudden, whoop, I got calls coming. What a podcast? What do you? Oh my God. That was like out of left field.
Like I said, this is total alignment and the excitement of all of this. I've never seen this in my life, to have things kind of line up in such a way where things go easy. And you've seen this with me as a highly psychic person. It messes with technology. Oh my gosh, it messes with technology. It still does, but not quite as much. And things start falling into place with such ease, like these people coming into my life. I totally unexpected. And that's another clue to psychic communication, is that when you get something that's completely out of context to what's going on around you, oh, that's a big flag to pay attention to that one, because it's likely closer to the truth than what you might be really considering.
Yeah, I think sometimes we get too hung up on trying to find the explanation. Being a detailed and kind of an analytic person, I've had to learn to let that go, because sometimes you just can't explain things, and it's okay. Sometimes you just have to go with it, and you may not be able to explain it, but you just know you should do something.
All belief systems have that, where they talk about there are just certain answers that we simply cannot and are unable to access. We are not evolved. We came in kind of in the middle of all of this, not at the beginning like some belief systems want you to believe. No. We came along in the middle, and we have a lot of work and catching up to do in order to really be a part of the universe that we are in, and understand how we can put all the cogs of the wheel together to make it work kind of more smoothly for us.
Yeah. Well, we are almost out of time, but I want to thank you so much for coming on here and sharing all of that. There's lots of good little tips and tricks in there anyway, about what to look forward to. And I really look forward to seeing this podcast that you have.
Thank you so much, Laura, for having me on. And thank you for what you do, because you're one of the many people that are showing others that there is a different way to live and approach this world that puts the power back into our laps.
And it doesn't have to be perfect.
Oh, there's no such thing. Excellent.
I tell people I am now perfectly imperfect, and I'm good with that.
Strive for excellence. Don't strive for perfection. There is no such thing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And everybody, as always, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross, so that way you can see this anytime you want. We have lots of awesome guests and different holistic, different perspectives, everything to help you with whatever realm of mindfulness or self-care that you are trying to do. So we look forward to seeing you next week, but thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.